Welcome to Soul Sense Podcast. I'm Mark Verkler with Samaritan's Well. Today we're talking about 5 ways to deepen your connection in relationship. And so the first thing I want to think about is building a stronger connection with your mate, with your spouse. And the very first thing we want to talk about that we're going to hear from everywhere is active listening. I'm going to give you a best Bible verse for each of these 5 topics. The first one with active listening is going to be James 1:19. So James 1:19 says, "Therefore, my beloved brothers, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger." Swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. One of the ways you could think about active listening is God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should listen twice as much as we talk. One of the biggest things here is to not interrupt. We have to avoid interrupting. I see that all the time. I have to correct it all the time. It's one of the biggest barriers to active listening. When I'm interrupting, I'm really saying, I'm thinking more about what I want to say than I am in hearing what you have to say. So we have to avoid interrupting. We've got to show empathy and validate their feelings. If I'm looking at my spouse, if I'm listening closely and I'm not interrupting, I'm actually creating a safe place. And I'm practicing the active listening. So James 1:19 is our verse there. Don't interrupt. Use your ears more than your mouth, and you'll be understanding active listening. Be engaged. Now, the second thing that I want to say to deepen a connection is quality time. And let's read from Ephesians 5:15 here. And so we're going to go back to Ephesians 5. And Ephesians chapter 5 is one of the great passages on marriage. But in 15 it says, "See that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are filled with evil." Now that's our verse that we're going to think about. When you have quality time in any relationship, you're redeeming the time. And so one of the biggest things that we have to think about this is you're going to have to be proactive in finding quality time. Some couples, for example, they like to watch television or watch a movie together. That can be quality time, but not nearly as much as taking a walk or playing a game or having a nice dinner together where you can make eye contact, you can listen to each other, you can use your active listening. So we want to look at quality time on a scale, and we don't always just want to pick the easy way. It may be cuddling on a couch, it may be taking that walk in the park, or like I said, going out to dinner. But think about quality time as connecting and taking the time to connect. And again, it's one of the main ways I can express love to my wife or to others. A third one is appreciation and gratitude. So let's look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. And in 1 Thessalonians 1, it says, "We give thanks to God always for you all, making mention of you in our prayers, remembering without ceasing your work of faith and labor of love and patience of hope in our Lord Jesus Christ in the sight of God and our Father." So think about how thankful Paul is for the Thessalonians. He's expressing it, and he's letting them know, I'm telling you this publicly, which is a great way to show appreciation and gratitude, but also in my private life, I'm giving thanks for you. So appreciation and gratitude is a powerful way to deepen your connection. The efforts may be big or small, but if you appreciate them, you're calling them out. And of course, anything that you call out in appreciation, there's likely to be more of that. So be specific in your compliments, express gratitude. It cultivates a positive atmosphere. And one of the biggest things we want to do in relationship is to fight off what we call a negative reinforcement or a negative override, and we want to have the positive override. And for sure, appreciation and gratitude is going to do that. A fourth area is emotional vulnerability, and we're going to use Psalm 34, verse 17 and 18 for this. So here's Psalm 34. Let me get back to just before Ecclesiastes. In Psalm 34, verse 17 says, "The righteous cry, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near unto them that are of a broken heart, and saves such as are that have a contrite spirit." So think about the vulnerability that he is showing here. It takes courage to be vulnerable, but it's vital for the relationship. If I express vulnerability as a husband or a wife, I'm so much more likely to get vulnerability in return. And so being open, being honest about your thoughts, your feelings, even your insecurities, helps create that sense of trust and intimacy. So emotional vulnerability is the fourth way we're going to talk about that is vital for connecting. The last one I'll mention is physical intimacy. And our verses here will be 1 Corinthians 7, 3-5. And physical intimacy is going to include every kind of touch. And the more physical intimacy there is, in general, the more bonding there is. So this plays a really significant role in deepening connection between partners. And so everything from holding hands to hugging to kissing to sexual intimacy. And so when we think about building the bonds of a relationship, I want you to think about these five. We said physical intimacy, we said emotional vulnerability, appreciation and gratitude, quality time, and active listening. And I want you to think about these five. Don't be overwhelmed. Work on one of them each month. Work on one of them this week and a second one next week and build on it. If you have issues that you're blocked or it's difficult for you to do any of these, that would be kind of a counseling issue or something to get help from a mentor or a mentor couple or, like we said, counselors. So anyhow, I hope this helps you get some perspective of the vital pieces of connecting and building a connection and relationship. And remember, you can reach us at SamaritansWell.com for any of your counseling needs. Thank you.